A little over 2 years ago, I made a mistake. A massive, massive mistake. You see, I introduced the world to Starfruits in any percent. And I didn't realise the effect that this would have. Okay, I thought that it was going to make a level that, you know, I wasn't a fan of. A bit more easy, you know, just a bit more fun. I didn't realise that it would have such disastrous consequences. You know, back in my day, we gloomed on every level we could, and we liked it that way, okay? We could play safe with garlics, or we could go a bit risky with pumpkins, but we always had glooms, we always had that to fall back on, okay? And you might say, oh, but Bulbasaur, you didn't always have it to fall back on. Sometimes you didn't get enough money, and that was the way we liked it, okay? If you can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps, okay, and get the money for glooms, you didn't deserve to have the run anyways. So, to rectify that decision, because I'm going back to where it all started. 5-2, okay? And I'm going to correct this mistake. We are not going to be doing Starfruits anymore. New Game Plus Shop Plus will be a funner category because Starfruits will be banned, okay? Did you see the race that the PvZ community had a couple days ago? That was great, okay? So, on 5-2, I'm no longer going to be running Starfruits. I'm going to be proving to you that Starfruits are not necessary, and that glooms are superior. Now, of course, we can't cheat. We don't have the coffee bean on 5-2. We can't use glooms, but do you know what we can get? Glooms are Pierce, right? Glooms are Pierce. Now, our Pierce options are Spike Reed, okay? But we can't use that on the roof, okay? We have Fume, but we don't have the coffee bean, okay? So we can't really do Pierce. But do you know what we do have? That's right. We're going back to the very beginning. Back to when I first started running the game. Okay, this is what the 5-2 strat was. And it's going to be magnificent. Here we go. No jalapeno either. I remember my splits used to say, I don't understand why we take jalapeno. I don't understand why jalapeno was faster. Now, you might say, okay, you might say that the reason I thought that was because I was worse at the game. And that I've improved significantly since then, and that maybe Starfruits was a big reason as to why I improved. I say that is BS. And I'm going to prove it to you by getting the best time you've ever got. Now, when I first did Starfruits, I immediately beat my gold. Is that going to happen again? My gold is like 40 seconds better than it was. Surely it will happen again. Now I'm going to use roof cleaners, of course. Because, I mean, that's another thing with Starfruits. You know, repeaters, they're probably better with roof cleaners. You know, repeaters, that's what we use in pool. This just makes sense, okay? It just makes sense. I'm going back to what makes sense. Look, I'm better at the game now. I'm going to be pre-planting pots. I used to not pre-plant pots on roof. Starfruits, the improvement wasn't because of Starfruits, it's because I got better at the game overall. Look, me pre-planting that pot didn't even affect how fast I get my repeater down. And I was definitely keeping track of that. I was keeping track of those sunflowers. That was a play. That wasn't luck. That was me being skilled at the video game. Okay? Now, look at this. You might be like, oh, but you need a jalapeno for an early voter? We're going to be holding a vote, and it's going to be to ban Starfruits forever. You don't need a jalapeno for an early voter when you have mowers, okay? Look how well this is going to scale. Look, I've Torchwood. This is going to scale so well on this 2-flag level. And scaling is very necessary on a 2-flag. You can't just use instas all the time on a 2-flag, you know. I've definitely never had a strat come up with a strat where it's literally only instas, and that is the entire every bit of firepower you have. And it's definitely never worked well. It's definitely never been used in a world record. Look at this. This is going to be like a 2-4 at start. And people say that you can't do repeaters. Honestly. Watch this. Look at this awesome cherry that's going to happen. Oh no, my mine is threatened. Whatever will I do? Okay, actually no, this could be bad. Never mind, it's not because I'm so good at the video game. Okay, this is interesting. But it's fine because I have Splash. I won't be able to use it here, but you know, it's... It'll work. Look at this mine! Who needs Starfruits when you have mines? That is fine. And look, people say that you can reuse pots more with Starfruits. Look how I'm going to reuse this column 7 pot for a Torchwood later. I'm going to have a kill row. And look how good this kill row... Perfect wave. If this is Starfruit, I'd have to wait for this guy to jump. That's right. I'm bringing it back. Okay, well, that's it. I don't think that was necessary, really. Let's... Okay, well... Oh, look at this mine. Oh, look, I've got column 9 pots. People say that column 9 pots are a big reason why Starfruits are better. Literally, that is stupid and idiotic, and... Yeah. Look at this. I'm getting it already. This might have been unnecessary. Okay. Now, the final wave you might think is going to be worse without Starfruits. But Torchwood, splash damage. Look, I've got Kill Row set up here. I just need to Cherry here, and then I need to deal with ambushes wherever they show up. Okay, well, Look, this is so effective, but I'm literally going to kill a bucket with firepower. Okay, now you might think that's sub 5, but I don't think that actually is technically sub 5 because I didn't include the time going to shop. But, you know what, that is better? That's better than my gold pre-Starfruit, which shows that it's just been me improving at the video game, okay? It's just been me improving at the video game. And not a Starfruit strat, okay? But you know what, maybe I should try out, you know, maybe we should just go back to repeaters, actually. See if I can do any better there, right? But the important thing to keep in mind is that, henceforth, from today, the 1st of April, don't think about it, the 1st of April, Starfruits will be banned from any percent because they are just bad and stupid and not fast. Now you might think, one cone preview, that sounds great for Starfruits. Well, it can be great for repeaters too. Okay? Okay. Watch out, world. Repeater is coming. Repeater, the really underused plant that doesn't see any action in any percent. You know, there was a movement about a year ago to get rid of Repeater in any percent. Find a way to root out Repeater. Can you believe that? Who would advocate for such a thing? Who could possibly be one of the main fighters for that, introducing levels without firepower, or introducing Starfruit, God forbid? Look at this mine. Incredible. Oh, that is... Okay, well, if I get a bad time, it's because of that pause. So I'm actually not liable for that. Look, you might think, oh, but you can't clean this guy up easily without Starfruit. Guess what, sucker? You're wrong. And I'll show you why. Okay, well... Okay, about the whole showing you why thing, that is going to make it a bit harder to show you why, but... Watch this. Yeah? 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 Boom. Yeah, bet you feel stupid now. That's what I thought. Oh, I'm dumb. This is... Hold on. Isn't this? Okay, we don't need to talk about that. A momentary blunder. 2-3x still though, despite some bad RNG, you know, some blunders. That's all I'm saying. Wake up from the lies that the Starfruit agenda is pushing. Should have been here. I could have saved it with a jalapeno. Look at this. I can get a repeater pot in Con 5 and use a jalapeno, okay? With Starfruits, you could have just collimated Starfruited and made that a Starfruit, but I get to do a cooler thing. And that is what the Starfruit Mafia don't want you to know, okay? Now, you might be thinking that this looks pretty bad, but I dealt with it. I pulled myself up by the bootstrap. I'll get this down now, and we're fine. Look, we're so fine. I might need to steal that guy. Look, I can reuse this pot. Reusing pots is not something exclusive to Starfruits. Let's stop pretending that it ever was. Oh my god. Look at that. The zombies wouldn't have given me that wave if I was doing Starfruits. It's true, but Fancy Pick definitely have an effect on that. You can't argue with me, I know more. Oh, watch this. Watch this absolute beauty. I mean, you can't argue with the results, right? 445, maybe like 448 because of, you know, the 4 shop entry that I skipped. But, and that, you saw the early game, I cherried that was a crazy cherry. You saw the cherry. Look, I keep on improving. First was Starfruits, it was literally the first strat I basically ever came up with. Of course it was going to be bad. But then, we went back to the roots of Repeat Torch, okay? Then we went to the Repeater Jalapeno. The good old days, okay? And now, of course, the best strat to ever grace 5-2. What else? But... Split P!